anybody who lives on Corn Hill will tell you the northwest winds are wicked. You don't want to be here in the wintertime. And over this hill is the northeast winds, and they blow right over our head. We're hardly aware of them here. And so I'm sure in this little spot that we're sitting, the Native Americans settled here and stayed here for the winter. And across the street where we're growing our vegetables is a big flat area. And I think it's been flat there forever. I mean, as I reconstituted it or redug it up and took out all the old trees, I found all kinds of stuff. Not a lot that would point me to the Native Americans, but as I contemplated it and saw it, I said, God, this had to have been very flat for a long time. And the Little Pamut River ran through there. And so there's this myth, I don't know if legend, myth, that between the Little Pamut River and the North Pamut River was kind of a sacred ground for the Payumet Indians. And we notice, I don't know, maybe the Clarks realize this, but we notice that everybody who comes to our house and they spend the night have just the most amazing dreams. They sleep well and their brain just goes nuts. So that may be a little bit of what's lingering on here.
Is that an invitation to stay over here?
Yeah, can you can't say that if they're not going to stay here.
Actually, there's many people here who have slept here every night. But you want to put up a tent, that's fine with me.
Where are they going to go to the bathroom?
In the porta potty. Okay, so anyhow, that's a little bit about our spot here. There was a little bit of history in your handout, and Dillis and I have been trying to raise vegetables and flowers here for about, well, we are, for about 7 or 8 years, and I'd like to give the first tribute to my wife. She's responsible for all the amazing zinnias and all of the other flowers, and we've worked on them actually for about 2 years.
Yeah.
We've been getting new irrigation in when we heard this moment was coming to make sure we can keep everything green and going. And so she's done a great job there. I'll give a tribute to myself and my little staff that I have for all the veggies. We worked hard on all of those. And in the last few weeks here, Austin has come and stayed with us. It's been a moment to bond and to get to know him more. And he came from Japan, where he was tagging tigerhead sharks, to Truro, hammerhead sharks, to Truro, where he was spraying garlic oil.
On Great White.
And so our method of controlling mosquitoes here is totally organic, and we've used garlic oil. It's been sprayed over the entire property, and we gotta think. Nathaniel, where are you, Nathaniel? He's down the end here. Nathaniel did the last round. So Austin, he did 6 tanks today. He really put it on heavy. Do you smell garlic? No. So it's friggin' amazing, isn't it? Anybody have mosquitoes way out there? All right, it works. So there's an organic way to control mosquitoes. So I was told I should bring in the chemical folks. I didn't want to do that. And so here we are, our own solution. It works out. Okay, so over the years, I gotta say that as I reflected back on it, Erica in many, many ways has been a surprise. I mean, she surprises us all the time. Now, many of you don't know this, but Dillis and I work really hard at having kids. And we did it. We went through 12 years of fertility treatment. I mean, it was grueling. It was really wicked. And we ended up with two beautiful daughters, Kirsten and Monica. And so we figured after that, don't have to worry. So we were off in Saudi Arabia. And in Saudi Arabia, you know, there's not a lot to do. So we're going on a trip. We're trying to leave. When you're there, you try to get out. And so this was, you know, 20 years ago when the place was a place you could actually go and work and not feel like you were going to get killed.
How old were you then?
Yeah. So anyway, we're about to go on this holiday. We're going to go skiing. And Dilla says just beforehand, you know, I don't feel quite right. And she says, I think I'm pregnant. I said, that's impossible. I mean, only because we never could have kids. I mean, we both went through a lot. So we sent our driver actually out to get a one of those birth control tester things, and he brings it back. What's it called? Pregnancy test. I had a drink or two. It was a birth control tester kit. And so we're all sitting in the car, ready to go to the airport, and she comes out the front door, and she's got this look on her face. I'm going, oh my word, this can't be true. How's it possible? And she says it says positive. So we go off to Zurich, and we ski and do all that stuff, and as time goes on, she really is pregnant. And so we call Erica our Saudi surprise. And what a surprise. I mean, what a surprise. So as we go on over the years, as she's developing as a little kid, we're used to these twins. You know, we're used to our twins and their developmental process, and so we're kind of looking at Erica and saying, you know, what's going on with her? She's not walking. Why isn't she getting up and walking? I mean, this is way too late for her to be walking. Is there a developmental problem? I mean, no wonder. So I came to the conclusion that what she's really working on is her little gray cells. And wasn't that the case? And she'd start to look at them. And they're rolling around, the wave would come in, and they're rolling around. She didn't care about the waves. She was focusing. And we realized this kid's got terrific attention span. Oh my goodness. She sits a little pipe down there and she's really focusing. And over the years, I think Long Nook Beach became very important to her development. Would that be right? Yeah, there we go. So this one.
I think the party says Erica owns Long Nook Beach. She owned it.
What's that?
She owned Long Nook Beach.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. Okay, so we go on to, I'll jump here. So here she is in high school, and she was an honors student. Math and science, she aced them all. And I couldn't quite figure out why she wanted to take cooking lessons in home ec. And so she was taking these cooking lessons, and then she decided to keep taking them. And they all only offer 2 years of them, but she took 4 years of cooking lessons. So, you know, that's another thing that was a big surprise to us. But she loved cooking, and she continued on with it. So that was one little thing, okay? another surprise was when she decided she didn't want to go to school in New England. So she said, I'm going outside of here. I want to see a bigger world. I'm leaving New England, and I'd like to see other places. And she applied to schools in many, many different places. We went all over the country with her. And she finally settled on Duke. I said, Duke? Duke's great. Duke's great. But at the time I was thinking, Duke's in the South? You want to go down there? And she said, well, I want a different venue. You know, I want to see something different. So there's that experimental part of her looking for something new to try. And so when she was at Duke, she went through some hard things there, some really tough experiences for a young girl. A very good high school friend of hers, Melissa, whose parents are here tonight, came down with cancer as a very young girl, 19, and Erica decided that she wanted to stay, you know, be her buddy through the whole thing. And Melissa spent some of her last hours here, and I was very, very impressed by the compassion and the love that she had in her heart for Melissa. Melissa was a sweet and beautiful girl, and her mom and dad are here tonight. So along the way, she would try these things that surprised us. She applied to go to a place called Rummel, which is the Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory. What? And she applies to this to be an intern, and they accept her. So she goes for the summer, and it's all about trees. And she meets Tyler there. Where's Tyler? Hey, Ty, where are you? There's Tyler. Tyler, who became a close, really good friend of hers there. And I think that's actually where Erica became a tree. I mean, she says she feels like a tree at times, and I think that's where she became a tree. So the two, she finishes that, and she comes home she graduates from Duke with honors, and comes home, and she says, Dad, I want to work for you for a while to earn some money. We were renovating this whole property, so I said, fine, you can sign on as a crew member. And she said, well, it'd be cool, really, if Tyler could come along. So Tyler came early, and Tyler was my building mate. And she and I spent a lot of time building the building in the back. And the Sawzall and all of these other things didn't faze them. The two of them became very good builders. And so it became a family affair. And so Graham and Ross pitched in. They were the brute, the strength that came in to help. And Erica kind of ran them. Which of course is, you know, what you would expect. And so after that, she says, okay, I want to take a trip to the West Coast. I said, well, what about a job? She said, well, no, I want to go to the West Coast. All right. So she and Tyler decide to go see the national parks. They get out to the West Coast. They make it to San Francisco. And she calls up and says, Dad, I got a job. I said, that's great. What are you doing? I'm a barista at a veggie juice bar. All right. Okay. So that was down in the Embarcadero. And then they tried to find a place to live, which didn't work out too well. And a little piece I left out of here was another tragedy that she ran into in college. Was a very, very dear friend of hers, a man by the name of Tyler, got killed in an automobile accident when he was in San Francisco applying to graduate school at Stanford. And After the funeral, all of these kids, a lot of the kids who are here, came up to our place here in Truro to grieve for the weekend. And it was quite a poignant moment for me. And who of you are here? Any of you? Yeah, there they are. There they are. They're over there. Okay, fine. So that was a really tough lesson to learn as a young girl. So makes us cry every time we think about her. Tyler was a wonderful, wonderful kid. So Erica has this job as a barista. And I'm kind of saying, well, you know, wouldn't it be good if she got herself a regular job? So she sort of foraged around and found a place, a bulletin board in Cambridge, and got hired by a woman there at a laboratory to run her lab at Berkeley. And that began the huge change for Erica. This was, again, another surprise. But she said to Sheila, who ran the lab, okay, if I can work there, I'd like to be able to do some of my own research. You know, it seems like kind of a ballsy thing to say to somebody who's employing you. And Sheila said, okay. And then she said, well, I'd like to be able to go into the field. I'd like to really do field research. And Sheila says, okay. And then Erica says to her, well, if there's a chance for me to write any papers or author any of them, I'd like to do that. And Sheila says, okay. And I think this was a changing moment for our little girl. I think it was. So after that, she traveled all over the world. I mean, here's a kid going everywhere. Panama, she went out to Catalina Island, I don't know how many times. How many times did you go to Catalina? 5 or 6, something like that. Panama. And then she went to the Great Barrier Reef a number of times. And then she ended up in Moorea. Oh boy, this was when we first got the first hint. So she says, after she comes back from there, Dad, I think I've met the one. I said, the one what? And she said, well, I think I've met the one that I want to be with. Oh, okay. So, big surprise for me. So they meander along in their relationship, and then finally she brings him home. And that was another big surprise. This guy's big. He's tall. He's got dark hair. And as we got to know him, well, I mean, we're all blondes, right? So, genetic diversity is good, right? So, something new coming in here would maybe strengthen things. So, we decided, you know, we like this guy. He's funny, seems smart, he's very, very passionate. That was the first meeting. Okay, then time goes on, and we meet a few more times, and then I don't know when it was, but I think we were down in Miami visiting. We went many times, got to know Austin much better there. And then I hear about Beneath the Waves. And I'm going, oh my God, this is really amazing. You guys are doing a film festival? This is creative, this is entrepreneurial, it's educational, it's really absolutely incredible. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur all my life, and these guys are doing this thing at this age while they're going through graduate school. That's just pretty remarkable. And they're getting attention, and people are coming to the events, and they're getting acknowledgement from it. So I'm saying, okay, this guy's even better. So I'm learning that Austin is a smart guy. He's really passionate, and he loves our dog. Extraordinarily loving, compassionate, sweet, and beautiful woman. And we have, compassion, it's a compassion, right? And we're coming to know that we have a new guy coming to the family who's loving, also sweet, and also compassionate. So, and they're both smart. I mean, they're both really smart. And I think the thing that Graham and I and Ross like the most is that with the addition of Austin to our family, we're getting male parity. Oh my God. We got a lot of girls in our family. So, on that note, my love to you both.